Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this episode, I'm going to share with you how to move up market. If you're trying to move up market in your software business or any business really, but to do it without falling on your face, because it sounds like a good idea until you realize there's key things that you're missing. Be sure to stay to the end where we're going to tell you how to get access to my game tape reviewer worksheet. This is where we listen to sales calls with upmarket customers and understand the key learnings and takeaways that we should be using to guide our decisions. Let's get into it. So I have the extreme privilege of coaching some of the most ambitious, driven, kind entrepreneurs out there in the B2B software space. Folks like ClickFunnels and Proposify and Carrot.com and just literally dozens of others. And one of the things that comes up very often is their want or need to move up market to increase what's called their average contract value, ACV. Now, what I've seen doing this in my own companies, I've been building companies for 20 years now, multiple seven-figure businesses. I've realized there's so much more to consider than just having what typically is a customer comes in, they're up market, they're more enterprise, they're more mid-market, whatever it is, and they pull you up into that market and you just like say yes and you want to do it. And you don't take into consideration the impact it's going to have in your go-to-market in regards to your marketing and your sales process, your sales motion, or even into the product side of things, the demands and features and needs from even getting deals done with compliance and securities and financials and all these things and key features, integrations. So what I want to share with you is the lessons learned of coaching dozens of founders into moving up market successfully, because what typically happens is somebody raises a ton of money. They tell the investors, I'm going to go and scale this business up. And then they fall flat. They hire 7 salespeople. And then 6 months later, they got to fire everybody. So I actually talked to my friend Mark Roberge. He wrote a great book called The Sales Acceleration Formula. And what we talked about is his process that he used that really inspired the conversation we'll be having with you today to assess different key metrics, the strategy to moving up market, and really understanding the map we need to be following so that we can be successful. Let's get into it. Number 1, GTM metrics, the go-to-market metrics. So the way I think about it is regardless where you're at in your business, if you look at a segment of customers, let's just call it inbound and mid-market customers or inbound and SMB, small, medium businesses. We want to look at 3 key factors. Number 1, annual recurring revenue, the percentage of the total revenue for that customer segment. Number 2, we want to look at the CAC payback period, the cost to acquire customer payback period, meaning how many months does it take you to pay back that new acquired customer in regards to their revenue if it's on a monthly basis, how many months does it take to pay back? And then also the percent of logo churn. Logo churn means the account itself churns, means they cancel. If you don't have a significant amount of ARR in a category and your CAC payback period is way too long, right? Because you haven't figured out the go-to-market and you have high logo churn for that segment, then there's an area of improvement, because I think people talk about product market fit all the time. What they don't talk about is go-to-market fit. And this strategy in our conversation today is going to help you understand if you have go-to-market fit. So for each segment, you need to understand the percent of annual recurring revenue for that segment and your total business, the CAC payback period, and the percent logo churn. If you don't have that, then don't even move up. Go baseline those numbers and then come back. Number 2, segment the map. So the way to think about it, it's a 3x3 matrix, right? So a grid. And on one side, you have at the top inbound, in the center outbound, at the bottom partners. And then across there, you have small, medium, and large. So you think about kind of the go-to-market strategy. So are you doing an outbound strategy, an inbound strategy, or a partnership strategy? Those are kind of the big 3. And then do you sell to small business, medium size, or enterprise? And then what you want to do is essentially get the numbers that I just mentioned, your go-to-market metrics, your ARR, your CAC payback period, and your percent logo churn, and put those into that map so that you can visually see how those things stack up. And then what you want to do is you want to communicate to the rest of the team that these are the segments that we're focused on, okay? Red means like we're not doing partners and we're not doing SMB, right? You might say red for the whole stack of SMB because maybe you don't sell to SMB. But it's just a really clear communication tool to let everybody on the team know, like, these things are check marks, they're good, right? These things are yellow, we're exploring them, we're seeing if we can make them better. Let's say inbound enterprise, maybe we don't have a good inbound enterprise strategy, which typically happens when you're moving from SMB to mid-market. You've got a great content funnel, product-led growth strategy for SMB, but it doesn't work for a mid-market customer. So you might need to invest in that. So that's yellow. And you might say, look, we're not doing enterprise right now. Enterprise, we're keeping it off. So if any big customers come in, they can use our product set the way it is, but we're not committing to any feature change, et cetera, because it's going to dilute our focus and ability to succeed. So we want to segment the map around those 3 axes. Again, inbound, outbound partners, small, medium, and large, those 3 metrics. How are you doing for each one of those squares on the grid to let you know how to communicate that to your team. Number 3, triple review. One of the most powerful strategies you can to learn from a customer is to listen to the game tape, okay? If you're a professional athlete, it doesn't matter who you are definitely watching your plays. On the field of play, you're watching the tape, you're watching how you perform, you're watching how the team you're competing against perform, and you're looking for opportunities to learn. And to me, working backwards from the customers is no different. So here's how it works. I want you to talk to one of your sales reps and say, hey, pull a call from a customer that was maybe mid-market that came through a partner channel. And then what you do is you sit down with that sales rep prior to coming in, you ask them to prep. I want you to come up with like 2 to 3 things that you felt you did good on that call, 2 to 3 things that weren't so good, right? So they come ready and prepared. They present that to the team on the game tape review. And you might do this every, if you're trying to iterate fast product market fit, go to market fit, you might do it every day. You might do it every other day or at least once a week. And you want to sit down with the product lead, the marketing lead, and the sales lead. And you want each one of them to listen to the call and come up with some suggestions or ideas to improve the conversation. And that's why I call it a triple review. You've got those 3 people in there and they're providing key feedback. As I mentioned, I'm going to share with you a worksheet on how to do this. Key feedback that you can use to improve that conversation if you're focusing on that specific segment and go to market, to iterate around it. We always want to work backwards from our customer, and the best way is to just listen to a real person with a sales rep, explaining their pain, hearing how the sales rep explains our solution, figure out where the gaps is from those 3 perspectives and providing that or capturing that. Number 4, capture fix. So part of that meeting of the triple review, the game tape, is to capture those insights. So we want all 3 participants, marketing, product, sales, to write down the 3 things that they took away that they think they can do to improve the conversation with the sales rep and the prospect, especially for that segment. And then we want to share and communicate. Some things are obvious, like, hey, we don't have Salesforce integration. Eventually we'll get it done, or whatever it is that there's missing. But at least let that be known that, hey, there is a workaround if we use Zapier as an example, or we do have an API that we have a consulting team that can code against that deals with that objection. As an example, from a product point of view, marketing, same thing. They could take some insights and say, wow, I never thought customers at that scale would have that specific problem. Let's write a blog post around speaking to 7 strategies to overcome that challenge and see if it generates more higher relevant quality leads for that type of conversation with the sales rep. And then the salesperson can just give some coaching, some cues to move things forward. But we want to capture the fixes. Number 5, lock in the playbook. So if a segment's yellow, if you're like, hey, we're going inbound, mid-market, and we feel like we really need to perfect our go-to-market fit, then as you're learning and you're doing these game tape reviews, which ideally you're doing, if you want to move fast, you can do them daily if there's enough volume, or weekly, you're locking into the playbook. The go-to-market playbook, or what's called the sales motion for inbound SMB, is not the same as inbound SMB and is not the same as inbound enterprise. And you need to build its own go-to-market playbook. Take those lessons learned, capture the fixes for the next calls, and slowly, as you see these repeatable patterns, lock them in, document them into a playbook designed specifically to work through that sales motion for that segment of your customers. And by doing that, we build the engine. Everything I talk about is a growth engine of throughput. We want to increase the throughput of having a conversation, getting a customer, having customer success succeed with that customer, getting them their desired outcomes, and making sure that we repeat that velocity and get it faster and faster. So real quick recap, how to move up market without falling flat on your face. Number one, we need to get our GTM metrics, our go-to-market metrics. 2, segment the map. 3, triple review those calls. 4, capture the fix insights. And number 5, lock in the playbook to build a repeatable, scalable process to move up market. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I want to share with you an exclusive resource called the Game Tape Reviewer. It's a worksheet. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to use this with your sales rep for that segment of the call. They're going to fill out the 3 things they did good, the 3 things they could have done better, bad, or opportunities to improve. And then there's a column for each person from a product sales and marketing that they can fill in their 3 biggest takeaways, insights, fixes that they want to capture. You can use that worksheet and continue to work through it so you can build a stack of those and use that to really build a case to go to the business and maybe fund that growth channel, that go-to-market fit. But that is your exclusive download. Click the link below to get your copy. If you like this video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel. And if there's anybody you know in the software space that's moving up market and you think this video could serve, feel free to share it with them directly. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday.
Ready to go.
Without falling flat on your face.